So obviously my head is in the clouds and I'm like, no one's better than me. That's right. And I go to a very renowned coach, and he has a conversation with me and he's like, yeah, you're very strong, you're very this, you're very that. And then I went to their facility. I was there for about 2 to 3 weeks, and there all sorts of tests happen. Everything, like, they were like puncturing me left, right and center and putting masks, and I was like, yeah, now I've arrived, bro. I've arrived. And nothing's gonna stop me now. But what happened in all of this, which of course in hindsight I can figure, was that he never took into consideration my history as an athlete, as an endurance athlete, right? I may have been into sport, but now I was running like a horse. Earlier I was making horses run.
I am Bikey Venky, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest, TimTim Sharma, is a runner, a cyclist, triathlete, a fitness trainer, and a yoga teacher. She has been in the endurance sports for the last 10 years and has had many podium finishes and wins in both running and cycling, including the Mumbai Marathon, Bengaluru Marathon, and many others. Her running journey started when a few friends challenged that she will not be able to run 10 kilometers non-stop and signed her up for a race. She not only completed the race non-stop but also went on to win the race. In this episode, we talked about her meteoric rise in running, her sudden fall due to the debilitating injury that lingered on for years, her eventual comeback to running and podiums, her foray into cycling, and more recently, her experience at the National Games at Triathlon. It was a really enjoyable conversation with her honesty and enthusiasm shining through. I hope you really enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. With that, let us get into my conversation with TimTim Sharma. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, TimTim. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much, Venky. In fact, just a few weeks back, one of my trainees was telling me about how inspired she gets by viewing your podcast. And I was like, yeah, I must check it out and go to see. A few weeks later, here I am sitting with you on the same podcast. So it's an honor to be here.
It's my honor as well. We have known each other for a while now, and I've seen your progression as an athlete and as a coach, and it's quite inspiring for a lot of people. So I want to use this opportunity to capture your journey and share it with others so that others can be inspired as well. So let's get straight into it then.
Let's get straight into it. It's actually very surprising to me that my journey inspires people, because right through I've only been doing things that I love, and the fact that people get inspired just by seeing me do things that I love is just something which is so precious,
Yeah.
And as you rightly said, so we've obviously not interacted too much on a personal level, but we have been around. Yeah. It's like so many people have come, so many people have gone. We're like the banyan trees, we're still here, right? So I think if I go back a few years, this would be, my journey actually started in maybe 2011. So I was overseas previous to that, and I was in a corporate role. I have done, when I was younger, I was into horse riding, and I loved horses, and I loved them so much that you would just find me in the stables all the time. And this obviously was to my parents, they're like, what is this girl's future gonna be? Like, she's either in school or college, or and I started when I was really young, I was 9 years old when I started. And the way that they used to make me study was that if you don't get so much percentile in your grades, you're not going to be allowed to go to meet your horses. And that is the carrot that they showed me. And I kid you not, till today, that carrot thing is working with me, right? So that was then. And then I went overseas to study because they were just like, her future is looking very bleak and it's looking like it's going to be in the stables. So let's send her away from all of it. And funnily enough, I chose a country like New Zealand to go simply because they have really, really good horses there. And it's only once I went there and I realized how expensive that sport is, because daddy was funding everything previous to that, right? So I had no idea. And I'd be like, oh, I want this and I want that. And it would take a little bit of time, but it would somehow percolate and come to me. But that was the reality check that, sport is expensive. A sport like equestrian is really expensive. And when this reality hit in, that's when I was like, oh, I must finance these hobbies of mine. Like it's not just going to happen magically. So at that point in time, with being overseas, living expenses, study expenses, and just being able to manage it all, the first thing that had to go was the horse riding. And previous to that, I used to spend at least 4 to 6 hours every day of my life for like 10 years with horses. And then suddenly there was like this gap which happened. Of course, the gap was filled with some extra jobs that I was doing, part-time jobs. So I was working 3 jobs. I had a full uni load. And
this was in New Zealand.
That's correct, yeah. So I had a full uni load, all of it. And but along the way, because of the uni lifestyle, there was a lot of like very normal like other habits which kind of like start coming in, like you want to go out for a few drinks and that turns into a few drinks every other day, and then you start working, and that is true even today, because when you work, usually the way that you catch up with people is either over a drink or maybe a coffee. Coffee is like not that often anymore. It's usually over a drink. And somewhere along the line, that became my lifestyle, Eventually down the road, I decided to come back home. And there were a lot of reasons. And if I go into that, then we'll be sitting here for 5 hours. So let's not go there.
We can.
No. So anyway, I came back home. And usually, like when you come home, what happens? Your mom is always like, my poor child has become so thin. Let me feed her some food. My mom is like, I sent a girl, I got a hot air balloon. I'm like, bro, if your mother is saying that to you, there is a big problem. So as I think most of our journeys have started, it was a weight loss journey which started. And initially I used to go for like walks around my area, and I saw this really like happening gym.
How heavy was this hot air balloon, or is it like light like hot air balloon?
It was a light balloon, but it was a very round balloon. It was like proper hot air balloon. So it was round, and I had like one cheek here, small little eyes, like, very cute still. Because again, you have to remember that I was in a country like New Zealand where people are generally big. So even when I was round, I was considered to be petite over there. So I never realized that I have put on so much of weight until my mom is like, and trust me, the last person to say that to you is your mother.
Always. You are always too thin for your mom. Yeah.
So that's how it started. I saw a really fancy gym near my area, and I was like, you know what? Like, I want to join the gym. So then I went. I started working. I joined the gym. Gym started. I enjoyed it. And then the workplace that I had was about 15 kilometers away from my home. So at that time, I was working with Oracle. And so I'm a finance postgraduate, and I was sick of finance. Like I'd been working for about 6 years in a finance role. And then when I came back to the country, I was like, you know what, I want to try something new. And this is how I have been always. Like I get bored, I'm like, okay, I want to try something new. And it is still continuing, right? In its own little, like there's little variations here and there. So I tried sales, and that's when I was working with Oracle. So my office was 15 kilometers away from where I live. And I used to have a cab which used to come pick me up. So coming 15, going 15, and then dropping me 15, and then going back 15. And I was like, this is so not good for the environment. Because previous to this, at one point I was also working in the energy sector, and at that time the Kyoto Protocol had come, and I was like, oh my God, carbon emissions and all of that. So I was like, this is not happening. Just for one person, the cab cannot be traveling 60 kilometers every day. So guess what I did? I was like, I'm going to buy a cycle.
Ah.
So then the research started, right? And I was like looking, and I wanted a fancy cycle. And you have to realize, and I think you will relate to it because you've been in it also for a really long time. Like, fancy at that time, or what is available or what was available in the country, there was no Decathlon or anything. It was Hero,
yeah,
है ना? And Firefox maybe. So I was looking, and then I saw this one Trek 3700. Wow.
Those were coming, just coming at that
Yes.
time. 3700 and 4300, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 3700 was the entry level one. It was the cheapest of them all, and I was like, it looks nice. Okay. So then, this is my first salary that I'm getting once I'm back home in India.
Which year was this?
This was 2011. 2011.
Right.
2011. Yeah, 2011. So I'm like, I go to my mom, and so at that time, so there's, so Ankush is my brother. Ankush is also a cyclist. You also are aware of him. And he actually...
Baba, Ankush
Baba,
Sharma.
yes, Baba. Everybody is Baba. So he's always been very supportive as an older brother, and just generally as a person. And there is a reason that I'm saying this right now, because I'm building up to the story. So I go to my mom, and I'm just like, you know what, I've decided, like, it's my first salary is coming, and I'm going to be like environmentally friendly, and I'm going to cycle to work. Now there's so many things that are going on in her head. She's like, she wants to cycle in Indian environment. I was working night shift at that time. At night she wants to go. You know, like, this girl is going to drive me crazy. She was better off there. And then to top it off, I'm like, I have chosen this cycle, and it is 20,000 rupees.
Hey, they're good. What?
Yeah. She's like, in 20,000 rupees, you'll get a second-hand motorcycle. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't care. The ride is what matters, and it is an investment as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is the attitude I'm talking to her with. And she's just like, this girl's crazy, man. Like, this girl has always been crazy. It's just gone to another level now. So Ankush is like loitering somewhere, and she calls him. She's like, look at your sister. What is she doing? She wants to spend 20,000 rupees on a cycle. My brother's like, really? TimTim, show me the cycle. So I then show it to him and all. He's like, Arey, Chote. So he calls me Chote. So, hey, Chote, this is looking very nice. Come, let me take you to the shop, and we will come back together. So then that is also, my mom is just sitting there aghast, like, what are these two up to? And he's taken me there. We've bought the cycle, and obviously at that time we don't know any better, right? So I'm like, I need it to be comfortable. So there's the gel seat comfort.
Gel seat, yeah.
Okay.
The usual.
Yeah. Gel seat comfort. I need a stand. So the stand comes. I need a lock. I need the bottle cage. I need a good bottle to go with it. And I bought everything. Very chuffed. I'm like, yes, this is it. And this is how the first cycle came home. So I was riding back, and my brother in his car was driving behind me the entire way. So we bought it from Firefox in Alsur. There used to be one a long time back then.
Right.
And I think it's shut down now. So, and along the way, the chain fell off also. And then I had to stop, and I was just like freaked out. And he came, and then he fixed it. And then we continued. And nothing has changed since then. He still does it all. He still
Always
does
there
it all. Yeah, he's probably like my biggest support system, and probably one of the reasons that I even ride, you know, because, okay, so the cycling started, we started cycling, all of that. My gymming was going on, my cycling was going on, and it was basically commute.
Commute to work, 15 kilometers out and 15 back.
Yes, that's correct. And at that time, I can't sit peacefully, right? So I was like, I want to learn a language. And one of my dreams was, I'm going to go to France and speak in French, which means I picked up one language class, which was French. So I used to finish class at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I used to cycle to, in Indiranagar, my French classes used to happen. And I used to be sitting in French class, and I used to be sleeping.
Obviously, after the night shift. Yeah.
And I'm sleeping, and I'm like, no, I have to pass my class. And then I used to ride back. So this entire loop was maybe about 35 kilometers. That was the entire loop. And I was doing it every day, and it was peace. But the issue that happened was that there was no shower at work. Hana? So there's no shower at work, which means I was living on deodorant. And everybody else was fine, but I could smell my own stinky self. Right? So that was another. And I kid you not. So I did that for about a year. And in that year, again, like without any intent of inspiring people, there still was about 10 or 15 people who started commuting to work.
Yeah.
And this is how we inspire. We live and we inspire through our life and through our actions. And a lot of them used to come up to me and they used to be like, we want to get a cycle. What do we do? And I myself was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. You can do this, you can do that, spend more money, it's awesome. So that was that. But of course, over a period of time, it was not sustainable. So at that point in time, I moved more towards the gym aspect of it. And then the cycle was at home and now I'd spent so much money. So then Ankush moved towards the cycling as well. And he was like one of the root causes, Kishi's gone and spent so much money. So he had to bear the brunt of it all and he started cycling. And then he took his cycling on another journey from there. And that Trek 3700 has initiated a minimum of about 20 people into cycling.
Wow.
That trek has been an incredible source of inspiration to a lot of people and introducing them to cycling. And I still have that trek in that house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's still there. So anyway, so I was going gymming. And then as you can see, I'm very chatty, right? So I'll be sitting with my friends. I'll be like, you know what I did in the gym today? I did this, I did that. And they'll just be like, oh, here she goes again. So then they told me, they're like, gymming and all that is fine, but the true test of fitness is running. I'm like, okay, so let's run. If true test of fitness is running, let's run. So then they're like, okay, because you talk so much and we have to see how fit you are, we will sign you up for a race. So they signed me up for one 7.5 kilometers race, and I have never run 7.5 kilometers before. Maybe on the treadmill I've done 5k, nothing more than that. So I was like, okay, chalo.
Aerobic workout for the gym along with
yes,
that.
That's it, the cardio aspect of it. And that also, like at that time, I didn't know any better, right? So my gym bro, trainer used to be there and he'd be like, oh, okay, TimTim, go do this. And I'd be like, yeah, let's go do this. And he'd be like, okay, lift like this, like this. I'll also be like this, like this. When you don't know any better, anything that you know is like, wow, right? And so that was what was happening. I turned up for the race and there was another guy who had been doing the TCS 10K previous to me or in that entire group, and he was considered to be the best runner. He had done a 55-minute 10K previously. So these guys who had signed me up said to me, and he was one of them, they said to me, see, he is the best runner. His name's Alex, okay? He's the best runner. If you think you are good, you just stick to him. I was like, theek hai, like you have given me goal. I will do the best that I can. So it started. We went 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer. We went. I was like on his heel only. So I was like, I think now I can do better than this.
Yeah.
So then I took off. Okay, and then so that was the 7.5 kilometers. I think I finished it in 37 minutes that day.
Impressive.
I got first prize.
Wow.
Yeah. I got 5,000 rupees.
Nice.
And we
Not a bad start at all.
Not a bad start at all. And I was like, this is pretty good, yeah. I was like, chalo, you guys signed me up for the race. Let me take you out for a beer. So directly from there, we went straight pub. Okay. And we spent 5,000 rupees. Because easy come, easy go. Now these guys are like in a conundrum. They're like, she was talking earlier. Now she's won this also. She's given us a treat also. Now though she won't shut up. So they're like, no, this was a fluke. Okay, so we'll sign you up for one more race. So 2 weeks later, they signed me up for a 10K. So I was like, theek hai, chalo, no problem, we'll go. Acha, meanwhile, this is Ankush's journey. So I'm telling Ankush, listen, these things happen. So at that time, I had only one cycle. Okay, no other vehicle. I am not going cycling in the morning, right? I have to go race. Even then I knew that you shouldn't fatigue yourself before the race. Yeah. So I'll be like, listen bro, I'm taking your car and going. He's like, no, I don't trust your driving. I will come with you. So he used to wake up in the morning to drive me there. I was like, you're driving and coming all the way there. You might as well just do it, like do the run also.
Okay.
So I would sign him up also. And this happened for a while until one day he was just like, listen, I don't like running. I don't enjoy it. You please do as much running as you want. You can take the car also, but stop it, woman. so anyway, so we went, and then this was the Snap Fitness 10K. I went, I ran. In between, I walked also. And even in that other one, I had walked in between, because obviously you don't know pacing and things like that at that point in time. It's the first time. You're just going in blind.
You end up going fast and then slowing down and all that.
Yeah, you're also doing a little bit of running nowadays. I keep noticing.
Now, again, after like years.
Yeah. Again, is this for aerobic conditioning?
No, when I got injured, I wanted to kind of keep keep fit, keep the aerobic engine going somehow, and obviously I couldn't ride outside. So I started walking outdoors.
Yeah, because any load on the shoulder also would be
correct,
on the cycle. You just can't do anything, and then going to the gym is not happening. Swimming also, you need a lot of arm movement.
Right.
So that was the only thing by default.
Slowly I started walking, and then started jogging, and that's how. And again, okay, I used to run. Yeah, maybe I can start again.
Yeah.
So these days I am using the couple of days for run as a warm up for my gym session. So that I know I need to work on my rehab for my shoulder. So I need a couple of days to spend in gym. So I'm using that time to kind of do a run also.
It's not something that you really enjoy, going to the gym.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, just a run for a 5K or something, and then go to the gym, sweat and then do something.
Yeah, and you get your little bit of a calorie burn also is happening, and you're feeling a little good also. The endorphins are going, yeah. So anyway, so coming back, we did the 10K. 10K, I won 10,000 rupees. Amazing.
Nice.
So 10,000. Again, we went back to the same pub, because that's the only pub that is open at that time in the morning. Okay. So we spent money there again. Like, we were playing frisbee at that time. So we went, played some frisbee, then we went to the pub, and then we had a few drinks, and then everybody went home, and then I still had money left. So that evening I went to the salon and I got my hair done. And I was just like, you know what? This is good side business. I'm getting good pocket money. So let me just continue doing this. Meanwhile, these people know, like my friends know, that they've resigned themselves to the fate that lies ahead, that she's going to keep talking.
No one is going to stop her.
Yeah. So, like, we either just put earplugs or whatever, like, this is it. So they've given up trying to, like, get me to shut up at all. So, okay, my strength training is going on, running is going on, Ankush is doing his cycling thing. Meanwhile, he's gone, his also was funny, without proper shorts. So he's decided there's a Anchetti 200. Okay. So he's hired some road bike from somewhere without proper cycling shorts. He's gone off for the Anchetti. He comes back for 2 days. He's sitting like that.
Airing it.
He's like, oh man. And so, both of us have learned our sport, like, in the toughest way possible, like, falling flat on our faces and building from there, making all the rookie mistakes. At this point in time, I just feel like if someone had told me back then, I would have, like, missed out on so many different, like, mistakes that I did, or the adventures or the experiences, whatever you would like to call them. But anyway, so this happened. Running was going on soon. Like, I started, so first week was 7.5. Next 2 weeks later was
10K.
Yeah. Then I got very ambitious. I was like, you know what? And okay, this is a secret. First was 5K. 10K, I got 10K. I was like, if I do 21K, what will happen?
21K maybe.
Okay. And I'm like, I'm set. 4 weekends of partying is set after that, right? So I was like, chalo 21K karenge. So then I started training. Training kya? Like, I used to go to the gym. I'll be like 10K, run 10K, then I'll be able to do 21K. That was my training, right? I'll do 10K 3 times a week, done. So I signed up for KTM. Okay.
Kaveri Trail Marathon.
Yes. Yeah. RFL used to organize it. Now, at that point in time, I was under the impression that every event that you do, because whichever event I had done, you get prize money. And I was in for a rude shock, okay? So I went, and as usual, I was like, Ankush, we're taking your car and going. Then 2 days before the run when we're going, I'm like, okay, take your running kit also because you're also running 21.1k. He's like, what? He's like, what? Why? So he's like, I was okay for a drive, but why? I was like, no, now I've like paid for your entry fee and all, now you have to go. And this is how I operate, right? I will just go and invest money in it, like full on. When I joined the gym, I went to Nike and I bought the entire season, like my salary. I bought the entire season, the clothes, shoes, everything. After that, I had no money left for the rest of the month. So what did I have to do? I had to go to the gym. Like there was no money. There was no other option to do anything else, right? And this is how I force myself into doing things. Like I'll be like, this is what I'm doing. Now I'm committed.
Right.
Otherwise, and you will know also because when we buy such expensive bikes, they look at us and they're like, use me. Use me.
Obviously, yeah.
Use me.
You can't use that as a cloth hanger for spending 50k or whatever.
You
right?
cannot. You just cannot. So then Srirangapatnam happened. I ran it. I didn't come first. I was very sad. I was like, koi baat nahi, next time. I was like, anyway, first runner up also will get some money, right? So then they call me and they give me one plaque. Okay.
So you finished second.
I finished second, yeah. They give me some, I think it was a memento, if I'm not mistaken. And I take it and I'm like looking at them.
What else?
Then they thought that I wanted to say a few words, so they gave me a mic. So I said few words, then I gave it back and I'm looking at them. My brother is like, oh God. He's like, come down. Come down. Very reluctantly I came down. I was very upset. Like not only have I run 21, I've come from a different city. I've paid for accommodation. What is this? So, but there I obviously saw that there were runners better than me. And for me, that was where it kind of really kicked in. I was like, you know what? This lady is 7 minutes faster than me. So maybe I can catch her. Or maybe I can work on being better. Or I'm really enjoying this feeling. And these were the thoughts that started coming. So now, slowly, obviously, with that, a little bit of recognition also started happening. People started coming. Like my first half was 150 something.
Nice.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. And Ankush's was also very similar, like maybe 3-4 minutes after that. And in that also, like I had walked quite a bit. At 18 kilometers, I started walking. And that's when another gentleman by the name of Siddesha Hanumantappa, who everyone knows because he's run like 100 marathons in 1 year.
I need to get him on the podcast. Yeah.
He's a crazy runner, man. Literally, like, I don't know how he runs the way he runs. So I had met him at the 18K mark. And he had dragged me. He's like, no, you're running so nicely. You come, you run till the end. And I was like, okay. And then I ran like that, right? So he's always been very special to me because of this particular incident. And then I started training a little bit more. I started getting people who were into running and I started going to Kabban, running with them. We kind of created a gang.
So this is 2012.
12, yeah. This is 2012. So 2011, I started like all this drama of my strength and all. Then later in early 2012, I bought the cycle. Then we decided that this is not working out. So the cycle went to Ankush. And then I started this running, maybe August 2012, right? So August was where the event started.
Right.
Yeah. And then there was like the Sunday runs, all of that. And then what happened was, and this is where I think was my first mistake. I was in a very happy place there. And then I got surrounded by all of these really competitive runners and they started putting in a lot of like, oh my God, like, you're so fast, you can do this and you can go faster and you should do this and you should do that. And then I'm like, every weekend I'm signing up for one race or the other. And that time I don't know any better, right? Like, I'm a dumbass. Whoever's telling me whatever, I'm just doing, right? And I'm going full gas. And every race is a race effort. Like you don't know it back then, but every race is a race effort and it's taking a toll on your body. And this continued. So in August, I did my 10K. September is Kaveri Trail Marathon.
Right.
September,
usually, yeah.
Yeah, September, October, I did. So the very next month, I did 21.1K. Then I continued training. In February, I did Auroville my first full marathon. That was 2013. In 2013 itself, I did 3 full marathons, each one faster than the other. Every weekend I was racing. And then, of course, that season ended with 2014 Jan, not TMM, that time it was SCMM. So there was an open category. I came second overall.
Wow.
And the fastest Indian finisher. So that was phenomenal for someone who has just started running and is hitting like...
It's not even like 1.5 years since you were start of running.
Yeah. And I ramped up too fast because I got carried away in that, you can do this. Oh my God. Yeah, faster. Like, but again, like that is part of the learning, right? So in 2013, when I won SCMM, there was one of the prizes of that particular one was that I got a fully paid trip to Germany, a place called Hanover, where there was a Hanover Marathon which was happening.
Nice.
And that was 3 months from that date. It was January, so April was the event.
April 2014. Yeah.
April 2014 was the event. Now, things are getting like serious. Now I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm international level, bruh. Right? So obviously my head is in the clouds. And I'm like, no one's better than me. That's right. And I go to a very renowned coach. And he has a conversation with me and he's like, yeah, you know, you're very strong, you're very this, you're very that. We will get you like, and he was doing a lot of, he was doing a lot of marathon athletes. Like he was training a lot of athletes who were the Indian elite level marathoners, triathletes, all of that. But he didn't have a female marathon athlete. Okay. So he was, his whole perspective was that we'll train you to be like the prototype female marathoner. And then I went to their facility. I was there for about 2 to 3 weeks. And there all sorts of tests happened. Everything, like, you know, they were like puncturing me left, right and center and putting masks. And I was like, yeah, now I've arrived, bro. I've arrived. And nothing's going to stop me now. But what happened in all of this, which of course in hindsight I can figure, was that he never took into consideration my history as an athlete, as an endurance athlete, right? I may have been into sport, but now I was running like a horse. Earlier I was making horses run. It's like that's a completely 2 different sides of the same coin, right? So it was a 180 degree and he never asked me about all of that. He never asked me about the lifestyle choices I had when I was overseas. None of it. And we started our training and my training was very intense. Like it was a 9-day training.
So he just assumed that you had long history of running.
Yes, yeah. He assumed I had a very strong base because from where he came, he couldn't even imagine that someone who didn't have it would be able to perform at this level. Right. So some of us are naturally gifted, and you will also relate to it. You've worked with a lot of athletes. Like some people are just naturally gifted.
Correct.
And there's nothing like, you know, an XYZ can work like 10 times as hard, but the person who's naturally gifted will be faster. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's genetics, right? It's evolution, which is like playing its role. So whatever. We started training. Is very intense. 9-day training cycle, 10th day rest. In the 9 days, I had a 180 kilometer mileage. In addition to that, I had strength training. I had just like so much other stuff going on.
So at this time, before that, you weren't doing anything close to like even 100 maybe in terms of training per week? Or how much was the training?
I don't even remember how much I did.
Right.
I would just be like, today I'll do 30.
We'll do random mileage.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's coming. Okay, let me do. And it was the funniest. Like when I did my half marathon, the weekend before that, I was like, next week I have to run 21 kilometers. Let me run 21 kilometers and see whether I can do it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Full power.
So from there, you you were given systematic training where you were ramping to
I ramped
massive.
up too fast.
Right.
Too fast. Like
Yeah.
my ramp up was just too much. Like from a 7.5 to 342.2s and then a 180 per 9 days. Like that's 20K a day, right? Which is a lot. At the same time, yes, I had dropped weight, but I was still little round. So everyone's like telling me you must drop, you must get leaner for you to get faster. And I can't for the life of me understand. And now I've gone to, again, investment, genetic test kar liya. Okay, gone done the genetic test, gone to a nutritionist. Nutritionist has given me one diet plan. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm eating this. But nobody has explained to me like what this diet plan is doing to me internally. Okay, so I've done all of this. I'm not seeing the changes that I want. And now within like 2 or 3 cycles, I'm starting to feel niggles in my leg.
Right.
So I was like, no problem. No pain, no gain. Must fight through the pain. Oh my God. This is what makes you stronger. And I'm going through all of these motions until one day I wake up 6 weeks later, or 6 training cycles later, 60 days later, and I try to put my feet on the ground and I can't. I wince and I put them back on the...
you couldn't just
I couldn't put my feet.
also.
I couldn't put my feet on the ground. I couldn't stand. It was very, very painful. And like this is just the person that I am, that I will push myself until I break. And that is exactly what happened. Because obviously there were niggles which were happening. I was really also very lucky because at the same time, Nike was in the market at that point in time. It was leading. And they started seeding me with products. So suddenly my expenses went down. And around the same time, so this is 2014, right? We've reached. So 2014, I've also decided that, again, remember, I've been working night shifts. So I'm doing night shift.
Correct.
And then it's just creating havoc with me. I'm not able to sleep properly. And I'm like, okay, this is a time that I have to take a choice again. So remember, I have quit I have left a fantastic job in New Zealand. I've come back.
Right.
My father cannot for the life of him understand what she is doing. Then I've got a good job here. Sales, I wanted to try something different. And now I'm telling him, you know what? I'm getting no job satisfaction. And my heart lies in training. And when I was younger, I wanted to be into horses. And now I want to be into running. And my father's just like, yeah, but who's going to pay for this? Right. I'm like, don't you worry. I'm going to start my own company. He's like, okay, good luck, So he's just like, this job satisfaction. Like, he is a man. He's 75 today. He still goes to work. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Like, he will get up in the morning. He's an ex-army officer, right? So it's been ingrained into him that what? You have to get up, you have to go to work, and you have to do your job. You come back home, you get a salary, and that salary is what is going to run the house.
Feed you, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is this job satisfaction? Okay. So anyway, he's like, and my mom is just like, let her do what she wants to do. And he's like, you have just spoiled her. You pampered her too much. She's like, no, just let her do is she going to do it later when she's like 40? And this is what she was telling maybe 18 years back, right? And now I'm 40 and I'm not 40, I'm almost there. I'm still doing what I want. So anyway, we go ahead. I have quit my job. We've started a company called Proton Sports and Fitness, which is into training. We've gone to multiple locations and we've set up training centers. But again, in hindsight today, because I know better, I know that I didn't know anything back then. I had no idea. I was just riding on some wave and it was going to my head. And I was enjoying it. The adulation, the attention, all of it, right? So now Proton Sports and Fitness has started. We are into events, we are into training. And I have also got injured. So obviously, I can't focus on this because I'm in so much pain. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand what is going on. So I've gone to renowned physio this one, renowned physio that one. I've gone to multiple guys. Everyone's given me oh, maybe it's shin splints. Oh, maybe it's that. It's okay. You can, run through this. And it's just gotten worse. So again, my next learning here first learning was, ramping up without structure is a bad idea.
Right.
The second learning was go to the right person for diagnosis. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are so many people who are like self-proclaimed or maybe through experience or whatever. They have their own reasons for saying it. But without having the apt tools and knowledge, they end up doing more harm than they do benefit the person. And so that was another huge learning for me. I have done rounds in all the hospitals in Bangalore, which has a sports, it has a sports physio or a sports department. I have been there trying to figure out what happened to me. Couldn't for the life of me figure it out. This one's telling me this, that one's telling me this, one is putting me on myofascial release, and it is so painful. I did it for 6 months, where basically myofascial release is when the therapist uses their elbow and they start opening up like every knot in your body.
Releasing the knots, yeah.
And I used to have every second day 1.5 hour of myofascial, which was so painful that the therapist himself used to put ice on both of my legs and leave it there for half an hour. It was very painful. Along the way, so, all of this was happening. I was off of running, and then I was on a hiatus for like the longest time. Automatically, like from working out as much as I was doing, like that kind of mileage, that kind of intensity, to doing nothing. One is the endorphins gone.
Or not there.
Yeah. Which means, and you have gone through injury right now, so you'll know that depression sets in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The frustration sets in. You have taken these life-changing decisions where you've quit jobs, and everything that your parents said don't do, or I told you, so like they've reached that point like I told you so. But they were kind enough to never say that to me because they knew that I was not in the best state of mind at that point in time.
They were being supportive.
Yeah. They always have been, and I'm blessed for that. My family has just been phenomenal through it all. So that was happening, and at the same time, Bengaluru Marathon came along. So when I finished my SCMM, one of the happiest people was Nagaraj Adiga. Why? Because Bangalore Hudugi. Yeah, the Bangalore girl has come first. Okay, so he picked me up from that finish line. And he just wanted to buy me the whole world. Okay. He took me to Starbucks. He's like, what do you want over here? Then he took me to Leopold. And then he made me stand on that Leopold table. And then he's just like, oh, she's won, and drinks for everybody. And I was just like mortified. I was like, oh my God, like it isn't such a big deal. But there was a lot of love there, right? And he was obviously in his own way, like he was following my journey as well. And then he realized at that point in time that I needed help. And I also didn't have a job. So at that point in time, he was like, I'm working on Bengaluru Marathon. You're not doing anything. So come, let's work on it together. And that is how events happened for me. So I still had to sustain myself. And a lot of people will look at you and they'll say, follow your passion. It is so amazing. It is so inspiring. It is so this. It is so that. But they don't tell you it also makes you broke. You also have to like cut down and skimp on style, which none of us want to do. It's not easy. So for me, of course, at that point in time, he was like an angel that came in, and he taught me so much. Like, he's been a mentor to me, not just through events, but just generally, even after that. So we started working together, and that used to make me like literally drag me out of the house, because by that time I'd put on weight, my clothes were not fitting me properly, I was not feeling good looking at myself in the mirror, and I had like all these great aspirations. I'll go to Hanover and I'll do this and I'll do that. None of it happened. We did end up going, so obviously now I'm also a very honest person, which is not to my best advantage most times. Okay. So I was like, I'm too injured. I must tell them. So I was like, I'm injured. I'm not going to. And everyone told me, don't tell them. You go, you run 2 kilometers and then you stop. Like, who's going to say what to you? And I'm like, I can't do that. My conscience will not allow me to do that. So I told them that, listen, I'm injured. I can't run the marathon. But I was very excited of going to Europe for like vacation, right? And And immediately they're like, okay, tickets blocked, this blocked, they have my passport. I'm like, what is this? And what we had done was, so Ankush was going to come with me. So Ankush is my partner in crime, right? So he was going to come with me because they were not going to let me go all by myself injured, right? So he was going to come with me, and then we decided we'll go do one nice Euro tour. We go Amsterdam, Spain, have a party and come back. So we did exactly that. But of course, we had to finance it ourselves after that. So we had a great time. We came back. Then this Bengaluru Marathon story happened. And meanwhile, so obviously, the ballooning happens over a period of time. And what happens is that you're feeling a little sad. So you like have a little bit of like a biscuit, maybe some cake.
Chocolate is good for health.
Yes, happy hormones. So I started ballooning a little bit more. That kept making it worse. Now, Ankush saw me. And this is where cycling started. It became a part of my life again. And he's like, Chote, come. Like, come cycle with me. I was like, and by that time he'd become really strong. He had a Cannondale MTB, which he had put GX tires on. And he was doing all the brevets at that time. And he was belting it on the roads, right? So he's like, Chote, you come with me, we'll ride. I'm like, you're so fast, I can't keep up with you. He's like, it's okay. You sit on my wheel, I will take you. And my bike handling skills started from then. Like my big brother would be like, sit on the wheel, sit on the wheel, sit on the wheel. Right. And today the cyclist that I am, I credit to him entirely because I wouldn't have done it had he not. He went, he spoke to Venki, he got me, not you, but Wheel Sports Venki. Yeah. So he, like between the two of them, they got me like an alloy bike. Then like he used to drag me out every single day. He was like, come. I'll be like, no, I don't want to. No, come, and he'll take me for rides. He encouraged me. He will buy me. Till today, he like sees a jersey that he thinks will look good on me. He buys me the jersey, socks, these little things. I remember when I finished my SR, I'll come to the SR. I did that with Rushit as well. So that was hilarious. So just like little things that keep, it's like it keeps you motivated, or it just encourages you to just push a little bit out of your comfort zone. And as a runner, it is very hard to ride. It's very hard. Like you are used to a certain cadence, you're used to a certain motion in running. And although they say that good runners can be a good cyclist, I found it very, very hard.
It's also a different set of muscles.
Completely different. Yeah,
mindset,
it's completely
right?
different, right? And it was very frustrating for me because, and I think you guys also were riding. I used to see like you all like just go off. I'll be like, what is this? Yeah, I don't want to ride. Ankush would be like, no, come. Even him, I like, there was a part of me which would be like, I'm ruining his ride because he has to slow down for me. And I wouldn't do it for people. Like maybe now I would, but at that time I would be like, no, And I'd just be like, he's such a nice guy, my brother. Like, wow. So anyway, that happened. So he started getting me to cycle. Then my new Helios, the Helios came and I wanted to ride. And that's when, so Naveen Raj also, I started bugging him then and I bug him till today. I'll be like, please fix my cycle. Like this was in 2015. I was doing this to him. And less than a month back when I went for Nat Games, again I was like, please fix it. Some things never change. Yeah. So then I did a 200k and I was like, yeah, this is fun. And that was, in hindsight, I don't know what I was thinking because my first ever brevet was a night brevet on a brand new bike. And I did it completely alone. Like Ankush couldn't come. Yeah, he could. And I'll tell you the funniest, like the one thing that was the most scary thing for me. I was like, where will I pee? Okay, because it is dark and I don't know, like it's all rural areas, everything is closed at night, and I'm thinking, even if I go to the side of the road, if there is a snake that bites me, what happens?
Yeah.
So that, and then for the first time seeing people who are like, I'd never ridden out before alone. I was always protected by my brother, and like wherever I would stop, people would come and like look at the bike and start touching. And it's my brand new bike. Like they've set it up in the morning and I've gone for a ride in the evening.
Wow.
Yeah. Not the smartest cookie in the jar, I must say. But you live and learn, right? You live and learn. So that was that. And then on one of these occasions, like you remember, even you used to come to Crank, and we all used to be there.
Yeah,
So,
our usual hangout joint.
yeah. So I was, for some reason, I was hanging around there, and I don't even remember what it was, but that day, so they have a space upstairs, and they were giving out the SR medals for the previous season.
Okay.
Okay. And Rushit and them had finished their PBP and come back. And they were like gonna
2015 PBP.
Yes.
Nice, yeah.
And they were going to share the PBP experience. Okay. So Pawan and all were there, and they were like, you must listen to this at least. So I was like, okay, I'm here. I'll go listen from ground floor. I'll go to first floor and I'll park my ass over there. So I sat. And again, Rushit is a dear friend. At that time, I didn't know him, and he came on the podcast as well. So he has also shared some of the experiences. He is a brilliant storyteller. That man can weave such a wonderful story, and then he can it may not even be that great an experience, but he will portray it like wow. And I was just like, wow, PBP, wow. So that was one. And then at the same time, I was seeing a lot of people get those medals, those SR medals. And then the specific SR medal was very pretty. It had all the different colors.
Right.
And I was looking at it, I'm like, wow, hearts in my eyes, I want that. Little did I know how much hard work goes into that. So then, anyway, all of that happened. And then, he had said so many different things in that story. I went to him and I started asking him a lot of questions. And I was like, will you be doing SR again? Will you do this? Will you do that? And I kind of really harassed him. So I was like, I'm planning to do. I like that medal. It's very pretty. Will you do with me? And he's like, no, because that's Rushit.
He would straight out say no.
But then I kept hassling him. And the first 200 which happened, he was there. So then I was like, Rushita, you can't leave me and go, please, we'll do together only. So then that season, which is the 2016, because 2015 they're done and come, 2016 the season started. So that season then I started tagging along with him much to his irritation. Okay. He's like, So then I did the 200, and that time Ankush was also doing, so 200, 300, 400. No, that time Rushit, no, not yet. Ankush and me had done 200, 300, 400 together. And in that specific 400, now meanwhile, my gymming is completely stopped. I'm only cycling at this point in time, right? So,
So because the injury is still bothering you?
My injury is full on. My doctor has told me for 8 to 10 months, you can't even think about doing running. You forget about it. We've also not identified the cause. We know that it is stress fractures, but we don't know the cause of it.
Stress factor of what? The shins? Or
multiple stress fractures in my thighs as well as in my shins.
Wow.
Multiple. So there were just too many. It was very bad. And then we know it is this, but nobody has kind of tried to scratch the surface to understand why, right? Eventually we've done, finally, which is one of the most basic things, do those vitamin D, B12 micronutrient tests.
Okay.
And what has happened is that in the past, and this is not now, this is not since I've started my running and the cycling, and it is when I was overseas, when I was doing all the drinking and the partying and the the multiple things that are not good for your body, not eating properly. Because I'm not eating properly, I'm popping laxatives, digestive system is stopped, so it stopped absorbing any of the nutrients. I'm not drinking enough water, so I'm dehydrated, so the bones they've become brittle, they've lost all strength.
Wow.
Yeah, so and probably if I wasn't doing such intense activity, it would never have shown up also.
Maybe much later.
Maybe, we never know.
Right.
But it showed up, and how many years later, right? So the history is, and this is why I had mentioned the history, because the history is so important. When you work with an athlete, their history, their medical history, their physical fitness history, their psychological history, all of it is so important. That I can say today. Of course, back then I didn't know any better. So all of that happened. So now I'm like very busy. Okay. So I've forgotten about running. I mean, I've not forgotten about it, but I know
Almost.
I've resigned to it. Like I'm just like, okay, leave it. I want that pretty SR medal. That's my motivating factor in life.
Right.
Okay. The SR medal. So we've done, so before this season with Rushit, before the season with Rushit, I'd done one season. So Ankush also, what has happened with him is that he's got 2 ACLs gone. One of those 2 ACLs has gone 2 times.
Yeah.
Talent.
He's fully experienced in that.
And both of his shoulders are gone. So like he's amazing at coming back from injury, man. Like that man also has some level of persistence.
So many comebacks. Yeah.
So what, like, he just doesn't understand injury. Like, what? I can't cycle? That's not possible. I will still cycle. I will show you how. You say no, I'll show you how. And I'll show you how 2 times. So so he was out for some time, and we had done like 100, 200, 300 or something like that. But I had not finished the SR. Then with Rushit, we started the 2016 season where I did the 100, 200, 300. And so Rushit, he may be like, no, he may be like rude, he may be like all of these things on your face, but he's like a big like sweetheart inside, right? Like he's just like so nice. And once he realized that I've decided to tag along, he just adopted me like, you adopt stray puppies. He'd be like, okay, come, and then he wouldn't like, he was one of the main reasons that I was able to, and everybody around me, like whether it's my parents or whether it's Ankush, they were like, okay, she's going and she's doing these things, but he is with her, so someone is with her, right? It's like she's not alone in doing these things, and there's some sort of, I guess, misery likes company, so they have each other, But in the 400, my knee, because I had not been doing enough strength, my knee just like, I think at about 350, I had 50 kilometers to go. A lot of time, it started buckling. As in, I just couldn't with so there was a IT issue as well, I guess, in hindsight. But with every pedal stroke, it was just more and more painful. And you know that when you come back to Bangalore, it is all climb.
Always climbing. Yeah.
So I was just thinking, I'm like, I cannot do 50 more kilometers. I cannot. So I missed that season because of my leg. And then I was like, again, back in 2017, I'm like, Rushit, let's do it. He's like, no.
I can't go through this again.
But he did, okay. And we did in 2017, we finally did. Like, and this is what I say, like, for everybody else, the SR is I did the SR. For me, it is we did the SR because I could not have done it without him. My 200, like, every step of the way, like he did not leave me for 1 second, and it is very difficult to do that, especially in these longer events, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely, especially so when the pacing of both
is very different.
not same.
Yeah,
right?
it's very different.
Yeah.
And he at that time he was very strong as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
now he has become even stronger.
Oh yeah. It's strength to strength. Strength to strength always, and may he continue to do so. Even his journey has been extremely inspiring.
Amazing.
So and I have to tell you about this one, which was the worst. Okay, so we did the 200, 300, 400, and then me being me, I'm like 600. Let's get the toughest 600. Let's go do it. So we did the one in Bombay, which was it was again a master brevet. Ankush had come back from his ACL by then, so all 3 of us decided to go. Ankush was doing the 300, and Rushit and me were doing the 600. So our route was Mulund, Thane, from there Lonavala, from Lonavala Mahabaleshwar, then Mahabaleshwar Satara, and then Satara back. Only climbing.
Oh, so many climbs, yeah.
Too much. Okay, so Ankush is still telling me, he's like, Chote, why? Like, either you don't want to do, or if you do, why you have to do things like this? Stop suffering so much. I was like, nahi baba, karenge. Like, it'll be amazing. So he did the 300 because he was just coming back. Like, just coming back to know, but he'd started riding, but he couldn't do anything more than 300. And I remember, so for their 300, they were going to Lonavala and back. So we all started Master Brevet, we all started together. So we were all riding together, and we were in Lonavala. And I fell sick. 1 week before, I fell sick.
Sick with? So fever kind of?
Yeah, it was like a viral. I was on antibiotics.
Okay.
And that was the last brevet. That was the last 600 of the season anywhere.
And you have to complete the SR.
Yeah, and I'm like, my medal. And Rushit is like, we have to do this. I can't do this again. Like, she won't leave me.
Not 2018 also.
No, like, stop it. So he's like, we will do it. Don't you worry. We will finish. I'm like, yeah, please, I want to finish. I want that medal. So then we go. And my last day of antibiotics is that morning of the event. So I've popped it and I'm like, chalo, let's go. Like, Bholenath, Jai Bholenath, we'll see what happens. So we are riding. Lonavala climb is coming. I'm not even looking, okay? I'm just like riding. All of us, Ankush is also there with us at this point in time. So Ankush comes to me. I'm looking 10 meters ahead. He's like, Chote, see that. Okay, he shows me the climb. I'm like, yeah, what? He's like, you know, you have to climb there. I'm like, okay, I'll take U-turn and go back. So he's like, no. It's okay, Chodi, look 10 meters ahead and keep climbing. So then these guys take a U-turn and go back. And now my nose is like flowing, you know. It's flowing and then it's flown so much that there's nothing left in it to come out anymore. I am cranky as hell. And guess who's left with me? Rushit. And Rushit himself is a pretty cranky person and he's just like, oh no.
Cranky square now.
No, but that day I completed it only because of him. Like, we couldn't, because of the fact that I was so fatigued or I didn't have that much energy, I couldn't keep my normal pace. He slowed down for me and we couldn't stop to take rest anywhere because we were running against time. Oh, and I didn't carry enough, like, I didn't realize how cold it would get at night. So there were days that, like, not days, but there was times that he, like, you know, I was so cold. We stopped at a dhaba. We put newspaper inside just to, like, break the wind.
Yeah.
Then he gave me his leg warmers because I was anyway sick as well. So I was feeling a little colder. Then when I was too hot, he took all that and he put it on the bike. He's like, you just ride. And this entire time I'm like, just leave me alone. You're irritating me. And he's just like, it's okay. She's sick, you know, and then I can't do this again with her. And then we were like we thought I was sleeping on the bike. And then he'd be like, oh, you can't continue like this. So then we stopped. We went to an ATM, put the cycles there, slept in the ATM for 20 minutes. How we finished. At the end of it, I didn't want to see Rushan. I wanted to...
And probably he didn't want to see you.
He definitely didn't want to see me. Okay. So, at 450 kilometers, I was ready to quit. That 150, only he has dragged me and bought me. Okay. Like, of course, I have cycled, but that constant, like, no, you have to do it, this, that, all of that. At the end of it, it's the only time I think I've cried. Okay, I was sitting and Ankush is there waiting for us to finish. He sees me, I'm like, And he brings, like, I have a pink cask and he comes and puts the cask on my head. He's like, well done, Chote, you know, like, you deserve this now. So again, it's a memory that has been created. So that was the SR that happened. Of course, I was not a fast cyclist then also. And this is all endurance building, this is happening. And you know, the athlete that I am today is, it's a direct result of all this hard work and grind that I have done. And it's all happened in fun and games.
Yeah, it's all these experiences, you know, we are the sum part of all these experiences, right?
These experiences, these people.
Yeah.
You know, because like with Ankush, I have learned to be kind. You know, I was never kind earlier. Very selfish. But with him, the way that he helps people along the way. Rushit, the way he is cranky, but he's like a sweetheart.
Very, very helpful.
Except for when it's punchers, because he'll just stand there and take selfies. Yeah, so we are like, and I think you will agree, even you would be an amalgamation of all these different influences that are around you, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, so then this happened, the SR happened, of course Bengaluru Marathon happened, and then we were expanding on that end also. So all of this was happening simultaneously. Like whenever I would get time, I would do these things, but we were every weekend we were going and we were doing training runs here, events there. It was very hectic. We started, but along the way in Delhi, I remember this was, I think, December of 2016. We had done a 24-hour run there. And Delhi is cold, right?
Yeah.
In December. So the cold is really nice to keep the inflammation in check, right? The bone inflammation. So then I started like doing small runs then. Like, because I didn't have a cycle there. And I wanted to continue being fit or whatever, exercising. Or this was just a very integral part of my day, right? Whether you do a cycle or whatever. So I started running slowly. And
this is in 2018.
2016. See, 2015 I got injured. 14 I got injured.
Right.
December 2016. But I couldn't go fast then. Because as soon as I would increase pace, no, it would come back.
Right.
It would come back. So slowly, so this is where like now this is happening. Obviously, I've learned from all of this also. And I've decided like, I've decided for myself, like, yes, I want to run again. But I cannot trust myself with anybody who claims to be a coach at this point in time. Because from my experience, like I have invested time, effort, energy, money, and I have fallen flat on my face. And how? So I'm like, I'm going to unlearn everything. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to relearn everything. So then I started doing my certifications. So then I did my personal trainer certification. Then I did yoga certification. I did recently. Care, like it's now been about a year, 2 years.
2 years.
One and a half, 2 years.
I remember on a ride we were talking about this, right?
Yoga.
Remember Hesarghatta ride? We were riding together. You were mentioning at that time, and
you also wanted to do a yoga certification.
Correct.
Yeah,
and eventually I did.
From SVS only?
Yes.
Lovely. And you did it, you went there and did it? Or?
Yeah, I went to one of the centers here in Ramnagar, and
nice.
both my wife and I did the course.
Brilliant, yeah. That was so also in 2015, so although I wasn't gymming, I had started yoga. Okay, because one of the main issues with my body was those knots, remember? So for range of motion and flexibility, I started yoga. And yoga I was doing 3 times a week anyway. Right. So it like if I was traveling, then I couldn't. But otherwise I was doing as much as I could. Cycling was happening, all of that. Then December 2016 running happened. I started studying for my certifications, all of that. Realized nutrition is also very important. So started studying for my nutrition certification as well. And I started doing my base mileage. From 2017, finally I quit NEB. And then I wanted to just take a break and explore other things. So I went and I did my basic mountaineering course. I did my advanced mountaineering course. I went and did a couple of technical peaks in the Himalayas. All different experiences, right? All different experiences. Yeah. Everything still fitness related. Pushing your body in a different manner. Enjoying the entire process. I also started in 2017. I did a project with this lady who was walking from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. So finance is very important. You have to, no matter what you do, finance is very important. And especially the hobbies that we have, they're expensive hobbies. And another thing was, of course, so like when I was running, like I had a Nike that was seeding me, but when I stopped, there was nothing there. Like, there was no sponsor, there was no nothing. And whatever I had to do on my own, which I did. Of course, along the way, when we were doing events, like, I worked as a coach with Skechers for a while. I was with ASICS for a while. I was with ASICS when I went and I worked with Sports Authority of India. So anyway, so I did this event with this lady. And that was fun because I ran and cycled along NH7. So I took my tech
along with
me.
Her,
along ahead of her. Yeah. So she was doing the PR a part of it, and I was going ahead, and it was for women empowerment through financial and digital literacy. So the goal was to tell people about, or tell women in the rural India that there are certain ways that you can get money. Again, financial empowerment, very important, right? That was another experience. If I go into that, we'll again digress for too long. So that happened. Then after that happened, I started working with Sports Authority of India.
Just a little bit. So how long was this?
This was an project. It was an 8-month journey from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. I did about 3 months of that.
Okay.
And then the fatigue started setting in too much. So then 3 or 4 months, like I did from here to Nagpur, from Kanyakumari to Nagpur. I was with the team, and then I excused myself because it was just a little too intense for me.
Right.
After that, I did some traveling because I wanted to. No other reason.
Yeah.
I'd earned some money and then I wanted to go and explore. So I did some traveling. I wanted to explore Teesta, the river. So I went north. And this again. So I went, when I was younger, when I was conceived, my mom had planned to call me Teesta. That was supposed to be my name. And that was because my dad at that time was posted in Sikkim. And he had put the foundation for Tiger Bridge, which is on the river Teesta.
Wow.
Okay, and I was just like, such a beautiful name. Why couldn't you just give me that name? You had to give me TimTim. And then, they had their own, like, it's a very turbulent river. Everyone told them she'll grow up to be very turbulent. And then I'm like, yeah, well.
Of course.
Just changing the name, has it changed anything? So anyway, it was always my dream to, like, go and see that river. So when I finished this, I followed the river. I went off to Sikkim. I found a cottage by the name of Teesta. Yeah.
Nice.
And I stayed there for like a week. And from my cottage, every day, like when I used to have, at that time I used to drink coffee. So I used to have coffee. From my cottage, I could see Kanchenjunga every day.
Wow.
Okay. Beautiful. And she used to, like, from Sikkim, everywhere in Sikkim you can see her. So when I used to go for a run, I used to see her. When I was like, doing whatever, like through my travels, I could just see her. And that is when I realized that, when people say the mountains are calling you, like you can really feel it. You can feel it. And I'm like, calling me, I have to go. And I have not done any mountaineering. I have done like a little bit of trekking. So then I started doing a little exploring. Then I find out about these mountaineering courses, and that's how my mountaineering happened. So then I went, did my courses. That was fun.
And you said you did 2 peaks.
I did Renok, and then I did Mount Frey. There are two of the peaks that I did over there.
So how long were these?
So it was part of the course.
Okay.
So the course was 28 days. The first course, 28 days. And in 28 days, 14 days you stay, no, not 14, 21 days, no. 18 to 20 days you stay at the base camp, which is 14,000 feet, 14,800 feet. And then from there, they have like 4 or 5 different peaks. Right. Mount Frey is the most technical of them all.
Okay.
And that's a crazy peak, man. Like when I did that peak, like to see the last 400 meters, I was just like, no, I can't climb this anymore. And then I reached the top and I was just like, and then, we, like the instructor that was there with us, he, it was a beautiful, clear day. And we could see Everest, we could see Lhotse, we could see all these peaks, and he was explaining each one to us. And I'm sitting there going, really? Really? Like, really? I did all this for this? Yeah, it's pretty, but really? And then and then coming back also, it was exhausting. It was supremely exhausting. But in the evening when we finished, and when we were coming down, because it melts, right? So we're coming down and your leg is like going into the snow. Yeah. And then when you're pulling it out, it's coming out without the boot. And you're like, okay, But at the end of the evening, I'm just like, I can't wait to do this again. And you know that you're like in love, when you go through these emotions. And I'm just sitting there having chai. It would have been so nice to have this chai on top over there, So, so that was an incredible experience. It really changed me. It put a lot of... So all of these things, right, they put a lot of things in perspective for me. And when you're in the mountains, you really realize how tiny you are.
Oh, no, yeah.
And Himalayas, we are blessed to have the world's loftiest mountains. And I really think that us as Indians, we must make it a point to go and just experience the beauty, the vastness, the humility that it brings to you. And on the mountain, nothing can save you.
Yeah.
Only your fitness can save you. And only if the mountain wants you to. It really, I think for me, my biggest reality check or like the humility aspect of it, I found there. I found there, and I think I need to keep going there for a refresher course every now and then, because it's just. You are into mountaineering as well, trekking?
No, not at all actually. I did a couple of small treks, but nothing beyond that. I happened to go cycling to Raniket, lower Himalayas, Raniket and all that. And I if the lower Himalayas are that beautiful, I can't imagine the real ones.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's still so unexplored, like of course you have the Everests and you have like all of the commercial ones, but some of the non-commercial ones and the way the villages, they really like look upon them as God, and you can actually see God there, I mean, if there is a God, it is there. Yeah. And the beauty of the Himalayas is they're still growing. Every other mountain range is like it's declining or it's getting too old, and Himalayas is so young. It's still every year it's growing. Every, I think, 0.02 mm or something like that. It's growing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's the tectonic plates, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the tectonic plates, they came, and then the land started going up. So that tectonic plates are still moving closer and closer. So the land is still moving up and up and up. So you have to. And in fact, one of the things that I want to do as well is, which has been on my list for a long time, is the Manali to Leh.
Manali to Leh, no. I am that has been on my
your wish list also.
Wish list for so first I wanted to do it when I turned 40, and I've turned 45 and gone now 46. I'm still there.
Yeah.
So I told DP that next year we are doing it.
Yeah.
So 2023 is we have to do it.
Yeah. So that's what, like, so even Ankush and me we've got the MTBs. So he's got a Trek and he's got a Merlin, and I've got an Excalibur. And because like now I've just packed my schedule so much, and even he's really busy.
Yeah.
But that's on our list of things to do as well. One of the things I want to do is do the Manali Leh and then go do the Ladakh Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that's that. So mountains was it was very nice for me. It was also very nice for me because see, in now running, cycling, I have like a very I have a community already. But there I had nothing. So I was brand new. I was fresh faced. I was like, whoa, wow. So it was really good. Anyway, then I worked with Sports Authority of India and I continued my training. And now we've reached 2018. So my training is still going like this, like slow. But in doing so, now in 2018, I've started picking up my strength training also. It's more like I've picked up a few pairs of dumbbells and I'm doing home-based workouts.
Right.
A lot of core strengthening, a lot of posterior work. So of course, now by this time I'm getting educated also, so I know a little bit better than what I did earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of complementing it together. I've done my nutrition. I've started cooking my own food. I've made it a point to cook my own food, and I can start seeing the changes. Right? This is 2018. Finished. So come end of 2018. No. So February 2018. So then this is late 2017. So this is before my AMC. So in 2018 April, I did my AMC. Just before that, in February, last weekend of February is NDM. Now, any of NEB sports events is like my home event, right? Because I've set most of them up with the original crew. So Nagraj was there, and so even after I've quit, I've kept in touch with Nagraj. I keep going to him and I keep learning from him. He's a very dear mentor to me, and he's like, हाँ तू आ जाओ करो race करो क्यों नहीं करेंगे breakfast भी खाएंगे. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then 2018 happened, and I feel like in 2017 I've gone and done one event, which is again one of the events that these guys were only doing, and Nagraj was in town. He's like, you want to do the NSG event? I was like, हाँ करेंगे. So I went without any intent in mind. I did a half marathon and I came. I felt okay, like so all of this time I've been doing only foundational training, base mileage, no intensity, nothing. I feel good. when I feel good, this was in November. Then I'm like, February mein anyway NDM is happening, let me target it. So then I start training, like little bit intensity I start. Yeah, so NDM comes, I do a PB. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Because NDM is a flat course. It's been now, 2014 was my last event where I was competing
New
after
Delhi
training.
Marathon, it's flat. Yeah.
And then 2018, 4 years later, I've done an event. I've done it better than I've ever done a half marathon before. I'm happy. Then I go off to the mountains, ye wo. I finish that. I come back. I have a job offer in Bombay. And in Bombay, I go there. I accept the offer. I also start working with Reebok as a trainer at that point in time. So they have a Reebok running squad. So I'm working with Reebok there. I have this job. Just before COVID. So now what is happening is events and fitness. There's no, what is that? When it merges together, right? There's
synergy.
No union. Yeah,
Synergy.
There's no synergy at all. Because having crazy work hours, not sleeping on time, not having discipline, how will it work? So by about January, December of 2018. So I've finished 2018, come back, started working. By 2019 December, I've taken a decision that now I feel I'm in a space. I have a fair amount of knowledge. I have a fair amount of understanding of how fitness works. I myself am pretty okay. Meanwhile, what has happened is I've started racing. So I've done one. They have one. I don't even remember. There was some small event through Reebok only. They were like, you want to go do this event? I went did that event. I did Vasai Virar marathon. This is 2019. Vasai Virar Mayor's Marathon. Beautiful event. I went and did it. I won it. I was like,
where is this?
Vasai Virar in Maharashtra.
Right.
I was in Bombay, no? I did that. Before that, the IDBI in August I did.
So back to winning ways again.
Yeah. So I did, first I did something in May, which was a 10K, which was okay. Then I did the IDBI, the Mumbai half marathon, which again I won my age cat. Then, but I didn't do my PB there. But training was on point. Like it was also raining and all of that, right? So training was on point. Then I did Vasai Virar. Vasai Virar for me was defining because that was a full marathon after a very long time. After 5 years, I did more than 5 years, almost 6 years, because January to then, and I won my age category. So no, I won the overall, and that was really good. And then came TMM, which was kind of like a circle, like it was a full circle of sorts, right? 6 years later.
Yeah.
And then I went for TMM. I won my age category. I did a PB better than, I did it better than the time I did it last, right? So that was very, very satisfactory for me. It also said to me that, hey, you know what? As a coach, you're doing a very good job for yourself. And a lot of my trainees at that point in time, because I was working with a lot of Reebok squads, they did a lot of their first. They were able to do it injury-free. They were happy. They could feel the strength element of it. So I was very happy with that part of things. And at that point in time, so after TMM, Reebok disbanded. And even I took a decision that I'll move into training full-time, coaching full-time. I had a fair base also at that point in time. And then it just made sense for me to move back to Bangalore. I finished that one. Then 1 month later was the Mumbai Police half marathon. I did that. I got a PB there. Again, kicked about it, like very happy. It's a flat course. And then I moved to Bangalore. Then I moved into, again, COVID hit. So again, I went back into, if you're not competing in events, why you'll do unnecessary intensity training? So I moved back into my base mileage. Because I was in Bangalore, every once in a while I had a cycle also. So in fact, the cycle that I ride, so both Ankush and Rushit have had like a huge role in finding the bike and then getting it and all of that. So and it was just sitting here because when I was in Delhi, everyone at home was like, you are not riding a cycle in Delhi. Like, it's just not happening. Someone will pick you up, throw you. We don't know what's going to happen. In Bombay, I had taken that same trek and I was using it for commute. But again, in Bombay, with the traffic, I wasn't comfortable. I don't even know the roads there, so I didn't. And work was so hectic. Like, I was doing 2 jobs. So it was not happening. There was no time to go for a ride. So once I came back, I was like, okay, let me touch the cycle. I touched the cycle a little bit, but then again, my focus went back into running and then setting up my coaching business. And then that took away a lot of time. That's when I did my yoga certification as well. Yeah. So every once in a while, I would come ride, but I wasn't riding regularly. And then in November of last year, in fact, one of my very dear trainees, she's like, TimTim, what is this? Like, it's all opening. Let's go do an event. I'm like, no, yeah, like, you know, that zone where like, no, I'm very happy. I'm in a fitness space. She's like, no, stop it. Let's go do an event. So I was like, okay, let's go do an event. So we went for Goa River Marathon. Again, dragged Rushit there. So Rushit was there for TMM also 2020.
Right.
In fact, that was the year that his father...
Both of them did it together.
Yeah. And even there, he was annoying his father. Like, he's just like, make sure that you have your nutrition on point. Make sure you're doing this. Make sure you're doing that. And his dad is like, oh God, like, who's the father here? So then again in Goa River Marathon, I was like, come Rushit, we'll go Goa. So then he came. And then all of us, we ran. So again, Goa was just like how when I'd gone for the NSG, it was a trial. Went, did the trial. And it felt good. Like, I knew now my body is ready for intensity training. And that's where, so now it's going to be 1 year since that journey. So then Goa happened. Along the way, so I have this, I don't know if they can see, yeah. So I have this, which is a tattoo. And all of my tattoos have a lot of meaning to it. So this is a Orurubis, which is a blind snake eating itself, which represents cyclicity, just like a phoenix, regeneration and reinvention, because I have at multiple times been so many different people. And I think we all are, right? And I had got it done in...
Lift it in.
Oh, more? Okay.
Yeah.
Like this, yeah. So I intentionally got it done like with these 3 because I always wanted to do a triathlon.
Yeah. For those who are listening, the snake eating itself, and 3 cycles within that have a cyclist and a runner and a swimmer, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I got the runner done. So these were 3 empty blocks. I got the runner done when I did my first 42.2K. I got my cyclist done when I did that first night ride, 200K brevet.
Wow.
And I got this swimmer done when I did my first 3K open water swim, which was in Tonur.
Awesome.
Yeah. So after this, the goal was to do, and this is all done in 2013. Okay. After this, the goal was that I will do some Ironman distances and I'll create a sleeve. So I don't know how that sleeve is going to be, whether it's going to be timing, whether it's going to be latitude, longitude, something, right? But it is like a representation of the journey.
Right.
For me also, it is a representation of where I was and where I've come, and to never forget it, and never to take backward steps towards it. So once this happened, the Goa River Marathon happened. After that, we didn't do TMM, but after Bengaluru Marathon. So again, it was one more circle, because Bengaluru Marathon, I have set it up. I have organized it. I have never raced it. In April, I went in, February, I went in, it was supposed to be February, but COVID, it got pushed out. In April, I went and raced it. I won in my age category. I came 3rd overall and I won in my age category. But again, it was like extremely like yet another circle complete,
back.
So it was very, very dear to me. It was like coming home. Then I wanted, so earlier in the year, Brooks had approached me to be an athlete with them. Brooks is a brand, running brand. It specializes only in running product. And I had, of course, said yes to them. And at that time, they'd asked me, what are the goals that you have for this year? So that had forced me into thinking and setting up certain goals for myself, specifically from a perspective of running. And it was to do a good marathon, which I did with Bengaluru Marathon. It was to do one ultra marathon this year. And then because ultras, I was like I always said ultras is for retired people, you know. But and I'm like, I'm getting to the age of retirement, so I must do an ultra now. So one ultra and a very strong half. So these were the 3 goals. And for me, of course, so these 3 used to constantly look at me and they're like, you know, you've drawn us on your hand, do something about it. So this was also somewhere in the back of my head. So the day that this opened up, the half iron Goa opened up, I signed up for the half iron and I was like, this will be my Cat A race for the year. Then Vagamon, sorry, you wanted to say something?
So November coming up, 70.3 is the race. Wow.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
Nice.
So then, so that was one. Then when I was thinking about my ultra, I spoke to a lot of, because I've been in the running community for a while and a lot of them know me and they know that she likes to go climb mountains and do this and do that. And I cannot run round. Like I'm physically incapable of it. I will drive myself crazy. I cannot do it. So I spoke to a lot of people and most of them, they came back with Vagamon. They said Vagamon is a beautiful trail. You will enjoy the trail. There's a lot of climbing. Go have fun. Go have a party and come. I was like, theek hai. So I signed up for Vagamon. Again, same, that fastest finger first, because they allow only 100 runners on that trail. You can't go more than that. So I signed up for that. Then I did my I did Bengaluru Marathon in April. Then TCS 10K was coming. So TCS 10K to banta hi hai. So TCS 10K I did because festival.
Yeah.
I got a PB there. Then the month after that was Vagamon. So from a 10K distance again I ramped it up. But this time I could ramp it up at that speed or that fast because I had so many years of base mileage on
me.
Yeah.
By now.
Yeah. And even for my Bengaluru Marathon, like I was doing some really hard stuff. My training was pretty hard. In the month of February, every weekend in February, I went to Kumara Parvat. I took Rushit with me there also. Dragged him. And he's just like, oh God, no. Like Ankush though is like, when I tell him to come with me here and there, he's just like, listen man, both of my knees are gone. Just stop it. So Rushit was next in line. And Rushit did that. KP, have you done KP?
No.
You haven't done it. Okay. So Rushit, he was very excited. He never told me he had not really trekked ever before in his life. And then we went for it. And like when we were climbing, he did the whole thing because purely through the strength of his mind. But when we were coming down, he told me that this is my first ever trek. And I was like, and you've done this?
It was a long one, yeah.
No, and it's a tough one. KP is a tough one. It's not an easy trek. But anyway, we did that. That was fun. And then every weekend in February, in fact, it reached a point the forest officer was like, don't you have anything else to do with your life? Like, you're here every time. We want to go to the city. You come from the city here. Like, what is this? That happened. So I'd been doing some heavy training anyway. It wasn't specifically keeping Vagamon in mind because I signed up for it later, but I knew that I will be doing an ultra and I'll be doing trail sometime in the year. So there was that aspect was involved. Then I did Vagamon. That was an incredible experience. Kuljit did it with me. We did the entire. So Kuljit is also a phenomenal runner. He also has a very inspiring journey if you actually see his journey. Fat to fit to like supremely strong. Now he'll be going in for a Boston qualification. He's going to attempt a Boston qualification. So again, I'm surrounded by inspiration. How can I not?
I think I met Kuljit at
BBCH.
At the bar.
Yes.
Giving back race.
He won there. He won there. Yeah. So him and me did the entire 60, and that also was an experience. You know, it was an incredible experience. He had not been doing a lot of, like, he's been doing Jarka Bande, which is not really trail, and to go into the elevations, it creates havoc with your legs. So his knees were constantly, his quads were just locking. So we had to constantly open his quads out the entire time. It was a 60K run with about 2,300 meters of elevation. We got lost. We did 62K, 62 point something, and we did little extra, but it was again incredible experience. So that was Vagamon. I ended up coming second in my age category there. First time trying it, wasn't even attempting. I just wanted to have a lot of fun. I did.
First ultra.
And what a fun ultra. I don't think I can go do like a normal ultra now. Like the bar has been set so high. Finished that. That was June. Then I finished that, and then I was like, okay, now I have to start focusing on 70.3. So then out comes Shade. Shade is the name of my cycle. And I was like, Ankush Baba, it's time. So Ankush himself has been working in terms of like coaching himself. And his knowledge levels are very high. So I was just like, it's time for you to start coaching me. So I got myself a trainer. So Karthik, he's the guy who heads Brooks in India. He was instrumental in making it happen. So the trainer came home, and then because there were 3 sports, I signed up with a swimming pool, and I started that training. And then things started going to another level, right? I was training before, but then I was like, oh my God, I had 1 child, now I have 3. Plus I have strength. Like, strength is very important to sustain these.
Right.
And then there is yoga, because range of motion is supremely important. And I credit yoga for me being injury free through all these years.
Right.
I only wish I had started it before. You practice yoga, so I think you will understand the benefits of it now. So then that started. Meanwhile, suddenly there was like this message which was like, we are having state trials for triathlon for national games. I was like, anyway, I'm training, let's go see what happens. So I went for that. Again, the triathlon that happened, or the trials that happened, because of the fact that we don't have a open water space and like traffic free roads, it was divided into 2. So first was in the morning, we went to Old Madras Road and we did the bike and the run. And then later in the day, we went to a pool and we did the swim. And then the best timings is how they selected the athletes. I got selected. I was like, how is this happening? So anyway, I was like, ठीक है, चलो अभी nationals होएगा. Then then meanwhile I started racing also. So Ankush was there. He's like, चल छोटे, अभी हो गया ना तेरा, ultra is done. As soon as I finished that, this Namma Nandi race was there. That was my first race this season.
Right.
So Sunil, actually the organizer, he was like, come na. I was like, okay. I asked Ankush, I was like, do you think I'm okay to race? He's like, it's irrelevant. Until you go and you do, you will not know.
You will not know, yeah.
So you go. He's like, you go. I'm like, no, but everyone's been training this. He's like, so what, you'll come last? No. Go, learn to come last also, learn to lose. Point. So that's how that happened. That also was an amazing race. I got a flat. And then one of the riders was there, and one of Ankush's trainees only, he was there, and he's like, Tim, tera flat ho gaya. So he took out his wheel, he gave it to me, he's like, go. That was the front wheel. I was like, this one? He's like, no, I'll fix it. I was like, they've got 7. The peloton is 7 minutes ahead of me. He's like, you go. So I went and I caught them. I was amazed. Another reason for that is that they weren't pushing also, because if they were pushing together, I wouldn't have been able to catch them. So that was a good race. Then you've been seeing, I've been coming for the races, which was good. But the training, that structure in the training, and I think that has worked really well for me, is that running, I know running, because I live it, breathe it. Like in the middle of the night, you can kick me out of bed and I will still rattle it out for you. But I also know what I don't know. Like, I understand my weakness. I know I don't know cycling. So when I have taken a coach on, or I have surrendered to him completely, right? And that makes a world of a difference. So that surrender, it gives him confidence in me, it gives me confidence in him. And then I do what he tells me to do. So that's made a world of a difference. That structure in the training, power, because with the trainer came the power, and everything. It's just been an incredible learning experience for me. We started only after Vagamon. So Vagamon was June 11th. So July, August, September, October, And now we are November. So less than 6 months of training. But I have seen tremendous tremendous improvement in my performance as a cyclist.
Right.
And the same thing for swimming. Now swimming, I'm terrible at swimming. Like, I hate it. But when I signed up for 70.3, I was like, it doesn't matter. First is get into the water. I started getting into the water. Then I realized that even that is such a technical sport. And every minute in the water that you're not learning technique, you're wasting.
Yeah.
So then I signed up with a coach there. And as luck would have it, like the people or the environment that I'm in, or the ecosystem that is being created around me has been so positive. Like, even my coach is brilliant. Like, I won't say he made me fall in love with swimming, because that's impossible because I'm not an amphibian. But like, he's made it so entertaining for me. He's helped me see improvements in the last few months, and specifically so after my nationals outing, because that was a very rude shock for me when I went there. It's been incredible learning again. So that was swimming. And then,
How was the nationals experience?
I'll tell you. Like, I've been only collecting experience this entire year, has only been collecting experience. So of course, cycling events happened, all that is going on. Then comes Nats. So I am, like I told you how I got selected.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put any thought to it.
Right.
I was focusing on 70.3. I just, like, in Hindi they have a thing, muh utha ke aa gaye. Like, I just turned up and I got selected. So I went for nationals also like that only. I was like, you know what, I'll continue 70.3 training, and that 1 week will be my taper week, because my focus is 70.3. So
and at nationals it is a short distance triathlon, right? Yeah.
What a rude shock that was for me.
Yeah.
So then I turned up. Again, like, maybe it is, it is the secret, it is the vibe, it is the ecosystem, whatever it is, like, things are just falling into place for me, right? When I wanted to go, okay. So now Ankush works, he has a normal, he's also a working athlete. So he has a job, and he is a coach, and he's an athlete. So his job, which is that of a process trainer, he goes to different corporates and he gives them trainings, soft skill as well as process, all of that. So his job, because COVID is reopened, now he started getting really busy with work. So he was traveling. Of course, he still gives me workouts and all of that, but that physical presence was missing, right? And then Nats was on my head. I was like, oh God, Nats is coming. And I didn't even realize the intensity of it till it came on my head, So 1 week before the event, I was like, okay, I have to take the bicycle. First thing. So how do I make this happen? So we have a racing team, which is OG Racing. So in that, one of my teammates had borrowed someone's bike box to travel to Chandigarh. Ashwin, he had gone. So I was like, okay, so I have seen Rushit's bike box. And of course, Rushit, as usual, I'll be like, please give me. And he'll be like, oh, okay. She'll keep harassing me till I do. So this was a hard case, right? And I was like, okay, this looks interesting. So then the guy who had it, Sangram, who also is now met with an injury. Injury. So I reached out to him. I was like, I need a bike box for the nationals because I have to take my bike. So he's like, I've given mine away, but there is Ravi. And then, like, just like that, Ravi was like, you know what, take my box, no problem. So then I got the box. And then I saw the box and I was like, now all of this time, all of my cycling needs are looked after like that, because I'll be like, I want, and Ankush is there because he loves the cycle so much, and you will understand because you love your cycle so much. And maybe now even I have started understanding because I've had no choice because he's been missing, right? So he's like, so the cycle comes and I'm like, Ankush, I have to like dismantle this and dismantle that. And he's like, yeah, Chote, figure it out. I'm like, this is not very good coaching that you're giving me. So then I'm like looking, so Ravi's given me like this video, this unboxing video, and I'm looking at it. And then there's Sanjeev also, Sanjeev from Chennai. So I'm talking to him also, and he's also pretty good with the cycle. So he's also like explaining to me. Imagine this is all happening remotely. My brother is explaining to me. Sanjeev is explaining to me. Ravi is sending me videos. I'm sitting in my room. Actually, Ankush's old room. I've made it like a bike room, and I'm sitting with my head like this, going, "What is this? Which Allen key do I use?" Comedy for you, not for me at that. And I'm like, this is the scene even before the event. Imagine when the event happens, right? So then I'm doing this, and then that weekend Ankush comes. And he helps me with a little thing, and he has like maybe 4 or 5 hours. So he's come home, he's helped me with a couple of things, and then he has to go catch another flight. So he's gone. I'm like, where are you when I need you, And then meanwhile, Sanjeev is helping me, and I'm talking to NR also. So now this is amazing. NR has become responsive on WhatsApp. Wow. So he's realizing that I'm freaking out, right? So, and then of course, that's when I realize, oh, you have to make this change, that change. So I've taken the bike to NR, and then he's told me, do this, do that. Then I bought it back. Sanjeev, so I call him my virtual helpline. Like I'll call him, I'll be like, oh, how do I do this? And he'll be like, okay, try to figure it out. Amazing level of, assistance that I've gotten. Somehow I've unpacked it, I've taken it. Step 2. Take it out, assemble it. But what I have done is the weekend prior, I have unpacked it. I've like disassembled it, put it inside, taken it out, and then packed it out. So everybody is like going, oh, let's go catch up with a friend. Let's do a brunch. Let's do a dinner. What am I doing? Unpacking, repacking. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So then anyway, we go to Ahmedabad. Oh, taking the bike over there also in Indigo is like a huge thing, because how much they want to charge you for excess baggage.
Right.
Anyway, we go there. I've put my bike, all of that. We've gone as a team, but like my team members are like 18 to 20 years younger than me. Right? Right? And they've all come with like their own support system. Like they have a parent or someone who's coming with them. And I'm alone, because I know like even if my parents, they would love to come if I want to take them. But if they come as well, they cannot help me at all, because this is something which is completely alien to me. Alien to them.
Yeah.
And the one person who can help me is busy with work. My brother, also my coach.
Right.
So, and I have not realized the enormity of this event. I'm just like, I go for running, I just go there, and I know everyone there. This is a completely new sport, completely different like age group of people. Everything is brand new for me. Very uncomfortable, very, very, very uncomfortable. New place. Oof, Bangalore has spoilt us. The heat over there, Ahmedabad. I was just like...
And humidity.
Oh,
yeah.
It was terrible, right? And anyway, so like we reach. So as soon as we reach, we've all gone together as a team. And we reached the airport, and the rest of the team is just gone. Like their parents have made their own bookings and they've gone off. And the National Games people, they've given us a hotel room which is 30 kilometers away.
Wow.
From the venue, which not the smartest thing to do, to say the very least. That too for like something like a triathlon, which has so many sports and the cycle. So anyway, I was lucky enough, I got a room just for myself, because there were people who were sharing four rooms. And again, like I said to you earlier, for maybe it's the person that I am or whatever it is, people were very loving towards me. The concierge, everybody, like, from the waiter to the participants to everybody was the participants' parents also, very nice to me. But everything I did in my room, like setting up the bike through my virtual helplines, help me with this, help me with that. That same evening, they decided to go to the swimming pool to feel the water. They're going at 5 o'clock in a bus. I'm like, when will they come back? It'll take you 2 hours to go, 2 hours to come back, 2 hours to be there. And I'm like, I'll be too tired. So I didn't go. Thank God I didn't go, because till 10 o'clock they were not back. And now their recovery is much faster than my recovery. And now because of this anxiety, like now I'm suddenly alone, because I thought that the team will be with me. There was nobody with me. I realized that I'm on a national level event. I've done nationals, but I've done EFI nationals, which is Equestrian Federation of India, which was completely different, which was also like in 2000s, like in 2002, 2003, I stopped. 2004 was my last nationals. And now we are like so many years later, right? So it was, I became suddenly like the anxiety just went up, the sleep went away. I was just like, what is happening? What is happening? I couldn't. It was very, very tough for me. Then again, the distances, I couldn't even warm up in those distances. Like the individual was 750 meter swim, followed by a 20k ride, followed by a 5k run. That is not my comfort zone. In the relay, it was even shorter, super sprint, which is 250 meters, followed by 8 kilometers of bike ride, followed by 2.7 kilometers of run. Like
going
exactly.
from ultra and all that,
and the good thing is that because of the fact that I'm looking at each of these as a separate sport, I have been doing zone 5 training. Because if you look at it only from a triathlon endurance sport, you don't go beyond zone 3, maximum zone 4.
Right.
But because I've been training independently and I've been managing it, I was able to push to that level. So anyway, the event happened. Another thing, so one of my, Shravan is a triathlete. He's also Prerna's father. Prerna is the youngest triathlete in that group.
Wow.
Okay. And Karnataka team. And me, oldest triathlete in the group. Okay.
How old is Prerna?
She's going to turn 16 in December 13th.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and so Prerna's dad also, he's an Ironman, and he had told me multiple times, he's like, TimTim, transitions is where you can cut time. Practice your transitions. And I'm thinking, theek hai yaar, kitna time hoega? Like, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 minute, big deal. Because I'm thinking from the 70.3, that's what is in my head, right? Because I've never done these distances before. Yeah. Oof. When it started, man, I didn't know what hit me. Like, firstly, I wasn't sleeping. I was sleeping like for those 5 days, not more than 2-3 hours a night. The anxiety was too much. I have never been so anxious before. Maybe it was the hype, the fact that I was alone, there was no support system. I was so out of my comfort zone, maybe because of that. But it was very humbling, very tough. And once I reached there was when I realized, oh, the Commonwealth girls are coming. Like that. Now that is the level that you're competing with. It's not, and the people you're competing with are like 20 years younger than you, or like 15 to 20 years younger than you. So I think all of these factors together, very, very humbling. But I went, I had fun. Having fun is very, very important. So I knew that the swim is going to get me. And as expected, it did. So we had 32 competitors. We were divided into 2 waves of 16 each. I was in the second wave. And when I got out of the pool, I was the second last person to get out of the pool. As expected. In fact, I wouldn't have been surprised if I was last. But then when I finished in that wave, I finished second. So I caught up in the bike leg. So I went hard in the bike leg. When I went into the run, of course, my transitions were terrible because I was running with cleats. I put my cleats on and then I'm running like a dumbass. And the same thing when I dismounted and coming back into the transition. So that's where I learned the importance of transitions. Then when I ran from the transition to my run, I forgot my running bib, which is important. So I did like an extra 400-500 meters, went, came back. So I don't think I'll ever make that mistake again.
So all this maybe will also help you focus on transitions during your 70.3 as well.
Of course. Forget 70.3. That day I came back home. I finished that event, all of it. I didn't do very badly. I finished overall 11th, which is not too bad.
Not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not best. Could have been better. I could have, even in this event, I could have, with my current fitness and my current, swim timings, which is the weakest, I could have done better, but it's okay. Learning. There's some days you have to learn also.
Right.
What is this? Actually, all days you have to learn. But I came back, and that very same day, I was sitting and doing, because I had a relay, right? And relays for the state. It is not an individual. So it's not just for me. It is for those 3 other children who are there with me. Children, my teammates that are there with me. And like, they are also really, really pumped and really, really excited. So I can't afford to let them down. So that day, for about 2 hours, I was just sitting and practicing transitions in my room. Like, I was just like, take it in, take it out, take it in, take it out. How can I do it better? How can I do it faster? And I implemented it in the next one. Of course, the super sprint is too short a distance for me to be able to. But even my swim opening was like a 140-200 meters, which is phenomenal. Like, for someone who's doing 210, to be able to focus, think about the technique during that 250 meters and just pull through that 250 meter, because 250 meters you can still kind of push through. I did it. I did it for the team. And same thing, the cycle 8 kilometers mein kya
warm up ho jata hai.
8 kilometers road. Then the run also, I did like I think 407 for each kilometer, which was pretty good. Sub 4 would have been better, but it's okay. You got something to work towards as well, right? So that was Nats. I was happy. Like, I was happy because I knew my first event, the individual event, I was not happy because I knew I made a lot of mistakes which could have been avoided, and a lot of people had told me what to do to avoid them. But with the second event, I was happy because I had given it my best effort. So that was a saving grace. We had a good time, came back.
Yeah, this has been a phenomenal journey from 2011 till now over the years. You know, through running, through getting injured, through cycling, through, you know, mountaineering courses, to yoga, to, you know, the personal training, and setting up your own, while setting up your own coaching practice, as well as you continuing your journey as an athlete, you know, learning and growing constantly, to taking part in you know, national games and all that. It's never been like a straight line. It's always been a zigzag, you know, going somewhere, something, but always, you know, like you say, living it in the moment and doing your best to have fun, and in the process, you know, if people are getting inspired, that's you are not thinking about inspiring anyone or anything like that.
I'm just having fun.
Exactly. And the learnings you have over the years are through, you know, hard knocks. Right? And those are, I guess, you know, you there are ways to learn through experiences of others, and that is for others, I guess, from your experiences. But your learnings have always been more through the
falling flat on the face.
School of hard knocks, as you say, are falling flat on the face.
You're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, I'll never do it again. But you know what? I will make another more beautiful blunder.
Right? But all this, I think, you know, have given you a tremendous perspective that that is invaluable for you as a coach.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because if some person is, you know, coming up with some problem, you would have probably gone through that.
More often than not.
More often than not.
And if it's not, then I will go and I will do a complete research and I'll come back fully aware of it. You know, so that is something that that I have learned, that you have to understand the why.
Right.
Because a lot of us will be like, you know, avoid it or whatever. But until you understand the why and it goes into your head, once we understand, then everything becomes so much easier.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there is, you know, so much for us to explore from that perspective. You know, your coaching practice and your perspectives there, and also there are, you know, I think we should do a round 2, 3, whatever, right, where we can talk about, now that you are going to 70.3, once, you know, I think this episode is going to come out around that time. once you come back, maybe we can do explore that aspect as well as your coaching side of things and stuff. So but this has been a fantastic chat. I really really had fun.
I hope you did, because I'd mentally come prepared to like make it really nice and short and like in 1 hour I'm gonna get done, but then I started getting carried away as usual.
No, but there over the years there are so many things that you have done. There are so much to share. So it's really quite fun and interesting.
Right? Yeah.
I'm sure, I am certain that, people who are listening we have so much to take away from this conversation.
I hope so. I really hope so.
And so thank you for taking the time and sharing your journey so far. And we'll do another one pretty soon.
Done. Thank you so much for having me, Venki. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
That was my conversation with TimTim Sharma. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to the channel on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.